The amount of times that I tried to film this intro and failed, I just don't even care anymore. Welcome to today's video. It's going to be a fun, exciting one. I'm actually going to be doing my eyeshadow palette collection video today. This is a concept that I've had in the back of my mind since before I started the channel. It's something that I've wanted to do ever since I first had the idea to start a makeup YouTube channel. Because I love videos like this. I love seeing people talk about their eyeshadow palettes and, just talking about how they feel about different products and stuff and seeing what people have in their collections. So this is going to be part 1 of 2 because I'm going to be doing my 9-pan palettes in a separate video because they're kind of their own separate thing. And so I'm going to treat them as their own separate thing. And also the video would be super long if I did all of them all at once. But anyway, yeah, so this is part 1 of 2, and let's just get right into it. Actually, just a little preface before we get into it. I started collecting eyeshadow palettes, I don't know if it was the spring or the summer of 2021, so this is all the stuff that I have accrued since then. Go ahead and judge me. I don't care. It's my hobby. Anyway, let's get into it. So we're going to start with one of the first brands that I kind of got into and started buying from. NYX was one of the first brands that I tried, and I was kind of into their palettes when I first started. So this was one of the first ones that I bought. I saw these at Target. Nope, not Target, Kohl's. I saw these at Kohl's and I got both this one and the Brights. This one is called Smoky and Highlight. So I got this one and the Brights palette, which is like a bright rainbow palette. I don't have that one because I let a friend borrow it and I never got it back. But that's okay because I have a bunch of rainbow palettes now and they're kind of better, so I'm not really sad about it. This palette I don't really use that often. You can maybe see I used this shade a lot. I don't think that's actually showing up on camera, but I put quite a dent in that one, so I was using it, as like a highlight. Ooh, it's so silky. Yeah, so that's that one. And I did get some other NYX palettes later on. I saw this one online when I was looking into their stuff, and I loved this one. This one is called Festival. I guess it's their, festival palette. I love the colors in this one. I used to really dig this shadow here because it's like a pink, blue, kind of duochrome type shade. Yeah, really into that one for a while. I was using that a lot. And then I started getting into ColourPop and I started exploring their palettes, so I wasn't into NYX as much at that point. But I did end up getting this one as well. I love this color story. This one is called Phoenix, and I think I've still only used it once. But I don't know. I saw this one. I thought it was so beautiful. I thought it was so fiery and fun, and I thought it would be a great fall palette. But the fall came and went last year and I kind of just didn't even get it. So I ended up getting it closer to Christmas time and I used it for like one Christmas look, and then, I don't know, I just never used it again. And now this year, I don't know, I still plan to use it. It's still autumn as I'm filming this. But I do still plan on using it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet because I have so many other fun fall color stories. This was actually the first eyeshadow palette that I ever bought for myself. This is, what's the name of it? Carnival Candy. It's one of their bite-sized little quads. And I saw it at Kohl's around the same time that I bought the NYX ones. And I was just so into this blue. I don't know why, when I first started buying eyeshadow palettes, I was so attracted to blue. I don't know why, but I loved that blue. I love this almost slightly pinkish neutral color here. This kind of almost reddish, bricky, neutral brown. Yeah, this one's fun, but again, I don't really use these palettes so much because the formula isn't my favorite. I don't know what order I got these ones in, but this is like the red one. This is the all blue one. This one's called Acai. Oh, that's kind of hard to say. Acai. Yeah, it's weird to say that. And it's a really nice little blue quad. And then I got this one, which is Berry Bad. Honestly, the only really like truly red color in here though is this one. Like that is, it's kind of red, but it's a very neutral, like bricky sort of a color. I don't really think of that as being like a true red, but this one here is a bit more red. But I don't really use the e.l.f. shadows all that much because they are, look at the difference, they are not super pigmented. I also found this little palette in, I think it was probably TJ Maxx. This is a discontinued palette. Look, $2. 80s Vibes is what it's called. I just thought this one was cool. I was excited about it. I was excited about the pink and the blues. This dark shade here, which is like, it's kind of like purpley, blue, black. I don't know. It's interesting though. These shadows I think are a bit more pigmented on the eye than these ones. I don't know. I don't want to be swatching like every shadow that I show you. Oh, go ahead. Prove me wrong. That one's not that crazy, but that totally mixed with the other shadow. Okay, so I do like those palettes, but they're just not my favorite formula, so I don't grab them that often. I also have these full face palettes from NYX. I actually should have talked about these right after the NYX ones, but so these ones are kind of funny. For a while, they were the only face makeup that I owned, and like I bought them for their eyeshadows, and then I didn't even really end up using the eyeshadows. I kind of just ended up using the face part of the palette, and honestly, it's legit. Like the face products are not bad at all in here. The eyeshadows though are also not bad. Like when I swatch them, they're so creamy and nice. I don't know, I should try to do a look with these. But funny story with these, I looked on Amazon for this one because I liked this one, you know, because it's got blue and purple and green. I thought it was exciting. And I looked for it and I ended up buying it because it was wicked cheap. It was like $5 or something. But they ended up sending me this one instead. And so instead of sending this one back, because this one was going for like $10 on Amazon, I bought this one from another seller, you know, hoping to not have the same mistake. I think I spent a little bit more because the other seller was selling it for just a little bit more, but I did get the right palette that time. So that's the situation with that. Let's just quickly look at these two 5-pan palettes that I have from ColourPop. So this was one of the first things that I ever bought from ColourPop. This one here called Too Hot. How do you pronounce that? Is it Hot Hoot? I don't know. But this one was on sale when I bought it. It was my first ever purchase from ColourPop. I just wanted to try some things, so I was grabbing a bunch of things that were on sale. Honestly, I love the colors in this. These intense pinks and this like pinky red. Love it. The duochrome. It's a great palette, honestly. I don't use it that often because it's kind of tucked away and I always forget about it. And plus I have so many more interesting palettes, but I do like this one a lot and I need to play with it some more. And then this one, funny story with this one was on my wish list for quite a long time on ColourPop, and I don't know, I just kept putting it off, and I was like, man, I really gotta get that thing. I like that. But I don't know, for some reason I always love the way purple eyeshadow looks on me, but I never like feel super tempted to buy a lot of purple eyeshadow. And I honestly don't even feel tempted to put on a lot of purple eyeshadow most of the time, even though I always like the way it looks. But I ended up getting a mystery box. They had a Black Friday mystery box at ColourPop, so I got this from that. It showed up in the mystery box, and I was like, oh wow, what a coincidence. I had been wanting this. But then when I tried it on, I don't know, I thought that this one was going to be deeper than this, but they're kind of the same. This one's just warmer. I don't know, it was some kind of trick of the eye that I thought it was going to be deeper, and so the look that I did, I didn't like, because I just used the shadows wrong, and I just haven't gone back to try to play with it again. I really need to do that. I've literally used it once. I also got this little quad in that mystery box. This is one of the Hello Kitty palettes. It's super cute. It's called Cherry Sweet. Honestly, I had been looking at this one, and I was like, you know what, I don't need that. You know, like, I didn't feel like it was going to be essential to my collection. I have a lot of pinks and stuff, but honestly, it is really nice. I don't know if that's showing up on camera, but it's like a pink, peachy sort of a color. From my angle, it looks orange on camera, but it's definitely like a pink peach color. I used this once. Definitely didn't hate it, but generally, when it comes to eye looks, I like a few more options. I did recently, however, get these little quads. These are from the Smoothie collection. I had wanted these for a while, but then I was like, you know what? I have a bunch of 9 pans. I really don't need any of these. But then they went on sale, so I said, you know what? Screw it. I'll get them. And honestly, I do like them a lot. I've used them a few times. I think I've used these two maybe 3 times each. I'm not even sure. I used this one once because, again, I don't know, I'm like weird. I love the way that purple looks on me, but I just never feel inclined to do purple looks. Generally, I prefer palettes that have more variety, so I can like kind of go in and pick what I want. The next one I'm going to show you, Nightmare Before Christmas. Another ColourPop palette. I did not get this one for the theming. I got this one because I just really liked the color story, and I still do. I think this is such a fun palette. I love this orange. That was like the sleeper hit. I wasn't expecting that, but I really, really love it. These pinks, super fun. The little duochrome, that cool blue. I love this palette. I don't use it enough because I have so much stuff in my collection, but I do really love it. And then this one, this is the Witching Hour palette. This was from the second wave of the Hocus Pocus collab, the 2021 wave. And I don't know. I'm not super thrilled with this one. I bought it because I wanted some of the lip products from the collection, and at the time they were only available in a bundle with this, so I said, you know what, screw it, I'll get it. And I don't know, I think I've maybe used it, gosh, I don't even know, have I ever like really used this palette? I honestly can't even remember. Now let's get into the mega palettes from ColourPop. I have a lot of palettes from ColourPop because I definitely was like a ColourPop stan for a while. I still love them. I still think that their color stories are pretty awesome. But more recently, they've kind of started doing some pretty redundant things. I think in the end of 2021 was where I really started to fall out of love with them and their color stories. But I mean, they still have some great palettes, and I do still buy from them occasionally. This one, I think the color story is gorgeous, but I think the quality of the shadows is kind of hit or miss. Like, I don't feel super thrilled with a lot of the mattes in here. Some of them aren't very blendable, some of them are very dusty, but I made some fun looks with this palette. I've used it several times. This one, Smoke and Roses, was one that I thought was really, really pretty, and I ended up getting it right around the time it came out, I think. It was like close to the holiday season last year. And I think I've only maybe really used it like a couple of times. Every time I open it, I'm like, man, I really need to use this. But now I have, I mean, some other palettes that you'll see later that I reach for, you know, over this one. But I do feel like I have to use this one more because it is really beautiful. I think that this one here was the first mega palette that I ever bought. Was it? Or was... I can't remember. This might have been the first one that I ever bought. Or Fade into Hue was. I can't remember. But I do really like this one. Honestly, I think this was the first one that I got because it was like half off. They were doing like a special sale, and I just really liked the pinks and like the warm tones, the peaches, even the yellows and stuff. Honestly, this is a shimmer heavy mega palette, so it's a little bit rough trying to make a look with just this one palette, but I do really love the shimmers in this palette. I do really love the color story here. I don't know how these got so messy, but anyway, here's It's a Mood. This one, I have to say, I was disappointed. I had heard so many good things about it, and, you know, it does look interesting, but I ended up just never feeling inspired by it. Like, to this day, I look at it and I'm like, I don't know what I want to do with this. I feel like I should do something, but I don't know what. So I don't know, I think it's just personal preference. I don't think there's anything wrong with the quality of the shadows or anything, but I don't know, it just doesn't make me want to use it, and that kind of stinks because it's a big old mega palette. I really feel like I should be digging into it, you know. This one though, Play It Jewel, this one is a lot more kind of my style. I think though that this one is also a little bit shimmer heavy, or at least the shimmers are the more interesting shadows in this one, so I don't use it quite as often as I should. I generally just reach for my 9-pan palettes when I want to use ColourPop, but these are definitely really beautiful shadows. I have done some fun looks with this one. I think it's really beautiful. Moving on to the Sweet Shop palettes from BH Cosmetics. I have 4 of the 6. These are discontinued. I started buying them like after they were discontinued. The only one that I was actually able to get from their website was this Cotton Candy one. This was the first one that I got. I think it was on sale when I bought it. It was around Halloween last year. I was getting those Poison Shock palettes, which are the 9 pans that they came out with for Halloween last year. And I saw that this one was on sale, and I just decided that I was going to throw it in the cart. And I mean, the color story is really, really cool. It's a mix of blues, pinks, and purples. Obviously, you know, cotton candy. I really like these palettes, and I honestly wish that they would re-wave them or like come out with maybe even more of them. But the next one that I got, this whole thing was like a journey. Actually, the next 2 that I got, these 2 here, I saw these bad boys in, I think it was it TJ Maxx again? It had to be TJ Maxx. And it was funny because I saw like 1,000,000 of the pistachio one, and I had heard a lot of people say that this was a great palette, so I was super happy to see that they had it. So I was like, okay, yeah, so I'm definitely getting this one. But then I was like, but do they have the red one? Because I really wanted the red one because I love red eyeshadow. And I was looking and looking and looking. I mean, that's a little dramatic, but I was like kind of digging through these, and it was just a bunch of the pistachio ones. So I'm like looking through them, and then I get to the very back, and behind all the other pistachio ones, I found the cherry on top. I love this palette. I love red eyeshadow, and I love how vibrant and intense the reds and the pinks are in this palette. They like glow. Like there's some kind of magic in these shadows that like makes them glow. They're so beautiful. I love them so much. the last palette that I was able to get, at least so far, from this collection from BH is the Sugar Cone palette. This is definitely, you know, the least interesting for me because it's just like, you know, a basic neutral palette. But I saw this one at Marshall's. Actually, I was there with some friends, and they also had the cherry on top there. And I convinced my friend to get one for herself, and she loves it. But yeah, I got this one, which is the neutral one. And, you know, I kind of just got it because it's part of the collection, but I'm glad that I have it. I kind of wish that I had all of them so I could put them all together and make the picture. I don't know if you noticed, but it's like a, oh no, that's the wrong order. It like makes a picture and I'm like missing some of the pieces. I'm missing the blue one and the orange one. So I can't even finish the picture, you guys, but I really love those eyeshadow palettes. I'm very glad that I have them. Here we go again with ColourPop. This is just the way that I have them organized, by the way. I know I'm kind of bouncing between brands and things, but this is the Gather Round Sisters palette. This is the other Hocus Pocus collab palette. This is the 2020 palette, the one that they came out with in 2020. I bought it in 2021 when it was re-waved because I think, you know, by the time I started getting into ColourPop, you know, this had been super sold out. It came and went really fast. And then I think I had heard that they had re-waved it once before and then that sold out really fast. And then they re-waved it for Halloween. So in 2021. So I got it. A lot of people said that it was so great. I haven't used it a ton, but I have recently done both a red look and a purple look that I really liked. I was using it more for the neutrals at first, well, because I didn't have a lot of neutrals in my collection, but now I have a lot more neutrals, so I don't know. I am glad that I have it though because the packaging and everything is so beautiful. Now, these two are currently my only palettes from Odin's Eye. I do want to change that. I do want to get more palettes from Odin's Eye, but let's start with this one. I have like a whole story with this one. I won't tell you the whole thing right now. I think I talked about it a little bit in my fall palettes video, but this is in collaboration with Judy. She's a YouTuber that I watch, and my husband bought me this for Christmas last year in 2020, and it has a lot of sentimental value to me. You know, I proposed to him the morning of Christmas 2020. Or not 2020, 2021. I'm saying the wrong thing. Every single time I think to myself, like, what year is it? My first inclination is to say that it's 2020. It's like 2020 never ended. But anyway, I have memories of when this was first revealed. We were on vacation with his family, and I don't know, it's just a whole association that I have with this palette and my husband. And then this one is the Hella palette in collaboration with Angelica, who I started watching earlier this, no, not earlier this year, at the end of last year before she moved to the US. And then this was revealed early this year. So not long after I started watching her, this was revealed, and I was like, oh, I'm totally getting that. Look at that color story, and like, I love Angelica. I'm definitely gonna get that. So I did, and I think it's so beautiful, and I do use it. I feel like I mostly stick to like the pinks and these like dark kind of berry-ish shades, but I have done some green with this one. There's a multi-chrome down here. I have no idea if you can tell from the lighting, but yeah, some shifty shades. This one's a duochrome. Really beautiful. I love this palette. Okay, I'm back. This is, I'm filming the next day. Had some things to do yesterday, so I had to take a little pause. But let's continue onto my Juvia's Place palettes, kind of sticking with the smaller palettes for now. But I only have these two from Juvia's Place. I saw them in Ulta, and I thought that they were so freaking beautiful. I loved the color stories so much. I'm a little disappointed with how the shimmer formula actually works on me, at least for these two shades in this berries one. I don't even remember. I don't want to start swatching things right now, but I don't even remember what the shimmer formula was like in the, what is this one called? Sweet Pinks? Yeah, the Sweet Pinks. But I think my issue with this palette wasn't the shimmers, it was that it didn't have enough depth. I can dip into this one though to give this one depth, but I don't know if the tones really marry as well as I had intended. I definitely bought these to kind of be complements to one another. I've used them, you know, just a couple of times. I gotta try to use them some more. Maybe I'll use this one more, like in the winter and stuff, but I gotta figure out how to use these shimmers because they really make my eyes look textured. And you wouldn't think that from looking at them in the pan because they don't look like they're gonna have that consistency, but they do, unfortunately. So, you know what? Next, let's actually move on to my lethal stuff. So, I have a few custom-made palettes and, well, technically one pre-made palette. So the first time that I ordered from Lethal, I ordered these two palettes here. One of them is a pre-made, and then one of them is a custom palette. This is the pre-made palette. This is the Night Flower palette. It does have a couple of, I guess, multi-chromes in it. They're kind of just like duochromes, but they do have a little bit of something else going on. I can't even remember which ones. I think it's like that. And then maybe, is it this one? Is that the other one? Or is it the purple? I don't know. I don't remember. But this is definitely a very nice palette though, like regardless of whether you want to call the shimmers multi-chromes or duochromes or what. But I bought this when it came out. I think I missed the initial wave, so I had to wait for the restocks. So shipping kind of took a while because it had to restock. But I got it eventually. And in the same order, I custom made a palette because they are kind of well known for their custom palette designer. And I really, really wanted these two multi-chromes. I don't know if you can tell that they're multi-chromes looking at them in the camera. You see how that's like a bright red and then it's black, and then this one is also like a bright red into like a gold and like a green. But yeah, I designed this palette to kind of go with those shades. This one was the one that I originally wanted to put into this palette, but it was out of stock at the time and I got another one instead, but I switched it out when I eventually got this because it was in stock. It's like a really pretty pink gold. I think it also has green. I don't know. It's a nice it's a nice multi-chrome. I really love this little palette. I should definitely use it more because I love it so much. And then they had, so when they came out with, which one is it? So when they came out with this set of multi-chromes, they have two sets. One of them is a group of 9 that you can buy as a set in a 9-pan palette, like pre-made. And then they came out with this one, which is a group of 6 that they came out with a little 6-pan palette. And you can, oh, look, I'm getting the multi-chrome all over the case. So you could buy them as a pre-packaged deal at a bit of a discount in the pre-made palette, or you can buy them as singles, which is what I, did here. But on this particular weekend or whatever it was, they were having a special sale. I think it was like 30% off of custom palettes or something like that. So rather than buying this one as a pre-made palette, I bought it as a custom palette, and it was like way cheaper that way. I used this one recently in a video where I talked about multi-chromes, if you saw that, but I really, really like this one. And then for the other one, so in this guy I had 3 of the original multi-chromes, there were 6 left. So it worked out perfectly that I bought the other 6 in this little pre-made, or not pre-made, but custom-made palette. Look how cool that is. And so this one here, this was the one that I originally had in that other palette. I'm trying to show you the shift in it. It does have like pink, and there's like green, pink, I think there's supposed to be a little bit of like a red. I don't know how much that's showing up on camera, but I had that one originally in my other custom palette, but I ended up switching it out because I thought that that one went better. I don't know if you can, is this overexposed? I don't know if you can see the true colors on camera, but yeah, so those are my lethal palettes. I like them a lot. Now I'm going to show you some of my BH palettes. The first one in this size that I got was this one, the Trendy in Tokyo. This was given to me as a gift by my friend at work. And it's like a nice little kind of a rainbow palette with like a emphasis on the pinks over here. I've swatched this palette a few times. The shimmers in it are a bit more satiny than shimmery. But I have done a look with these greens. I think, well, the green and the yellow. I think I've done like 2 different versions of it. And that's kind of it. That's the only times that I've really dipped into this one. I need to play with it some more though, because it is really, really pretty. I do like this row here. I love these blues and things. That red is nice. And I need to just like dip into this one again soon. And then these 2 I also got at Marshall's on sale, you know. I got the Lost in Los Angeles. When the Natasha Denona pastel palette came out, I heard a lot of people talking about this one and the quality of this one. So I figured I'd give this one a try. I think I've mostly used it just for the mattes in conjunction with my multi-chromes, kind of like the way I use another palette that you'll see in just a second. With my multi-chromes, but yeah, I've mostly used this one with my multi-chromes, so I haven't really played too much with the shimmers, but I feel like I have to, because some of these shimmers are really freaking nice. Like, look at that. And then I also have this one. I actually haven't used this one at all. I got it because I do like the color story. It's very pink, and you know, it's got the pops of yellow and orange. It's a very nice, like, fun, warm color story. But I don't know, I have so many palettes, and this one just hasn't like screamed out to me like, hey, use me. So I haven't really played with this one yet. I feel like I should though. Maybe as it gets closer to summertime. I don't know. That's a long way away. We still gotta get through winter as I'm filming this. I'll just quickly show you this one as well. I do have the Morphe and James Charles palette. It's freaking huge. It is very nice. I definitely bought this like after the whole controversy thing, you know, but I got it at what is it, Marshall's, I think I got this at. So, you know, I didn't feel super guilty buying it, because I think by the time this thing hit Marshall's, you know, James Charles had already been paid. Marshall's is not, you know, giving royalties or whatever to people after they sell their products. Once they buy it from the brands, you know, it's already been paid for. But I actually have not ever used this palette. I don't know. It's got so much going on, and like I look at it and I'm like, ooh, I kind of want to play with all that stuff, but then I don't know, I put it away and I forget about it, and like it's so big. Wow, I guess my hand's sweaty. It's so big that I store it in like kind of an awkward place because it doesn't really fit with the rest of my stuff. So I just always forget that I even have this palette. Who knows? Maybe I'll use it one day. It does have like face kind of stuff in the center. So I don't know. Maybe I should be trying to use those. I don't know. Let's also hop into my newest acquisition. Got this one in the Sephora VIB sale. I am a Rouge member now, so I got 20% off of this. I really, really wanted this. It was out of stock a bunch of times, and I was nervous that it was going to still be out of stock when the sale was going on, but it came back. I hope that you can see the shifts on camera, especially like these 2 shades in the middle. You can definitely see the shifts on them because they're so textured and clumpy. But I have not used this one yet either, but this one I'm definitely going to be using soon. I'm kind of like focusing on other things at the moment, but This one I'm definitely excited to be playing with. I'm so ready for this one. So no opinions on this one just yet because I haven't tried it, but I'm definitely excited to use it. Let me show you a couple more new palettes. So this one's the Troublemaker palette from ColourPop. Got this one pretty recently. I remember when I saw the stuff about this on their Instagram, I got really, really excited because the color story just felt really cool and different. And I really liked the looks that they did on the models. I will say it's not as exciting in person as I thought it was going to be, but I do really like the quality. The shadows in here are really like buttery and nice, and you know, the shimmers are really, really nice. It's a legit palette. Like it's good. Maybe not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's really nice, and I definitely want to use it some more. I also have this Nomad Cosmetics palette. I did a video on this one. Let me pop it open. It's this absolutely gorgeous autumn palette. And, you know, I live in the Hudson Valley, so this was very special for me to see a palette like this come out. This was my first time trying Nomad. I really, really like their formula. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for new releases from them. I know they have a little 9-pan palette they're coming out with for Christmas. We'll see. Maybe I'll grab it. I'm not 100% sure yet. Or maybe I'll grab something else from the brand, but definitely love this one. Definitely would recommend it. It's amazing. While we're on the subject of amazing, God, the glare in this packaging. This is the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 Rose palette, and this is definitely one of my favorite palettes. Like, I'm gonna hold it up so you can kind of see it a little better. I don't know, there's like some really shifty duochromes with like a really strong shift to them. Really, really nice mattes. I really like this palette. You know, I'm not a total freak for neutrals, but when it comes to like rosy, warm neutrals like this, I love stuff like that. I guess this one's kind of cool, right? Like most of them are pretty warm, but this one's a little bit cooler. Yeah, I love this one. Honestly, it might be my favorite palette of the year. We're gonna see as the year goes on. We're almost done with the year and new releases. I know there's a ton of stuff coming out for holiday. There is a new palette coming out from Natasha Denona. We'll see how I like that one. if I even decide to get it. But yeah, let's move on to Beauty Bay. So, ooh, these ones are barely fitting in here. How am I going to fit the bigger ones? So these palettes came out earlier this year. They are part of their permanent line. There's a bigger version of this one that I did not get because I said, I'm not really thrilled by all those neutrals, because it kind of, you know, it's like half green, half neutral with like a pop of red. I settled for the smaller version of it, and then there's an even smaller one. I think it's a 9-pan. And then same deal with this, although actually when this one came out, there was no bigger version. This was the biggest size you could get. So I got that because I really, really like this color story, but I don't need a giant one, and at the time it wasn't out anyway, so I just kind of settled for the smaller one. But then when it comes to the Midnight palette, which I also have, I did get the big one because this one is kind of half blue and half purple. So I figured of all of them, this was the one to get the big size. And one of the shades did come broken, but it's okay. I kind of packed it back in. I've used it, you know, tried to get all the excess out. And so these are really, really nice palettes. Look, there's a nice black in this one. There's a nice silver. These are really, really nice palettes. The formula is really, really awesome. And I will say their shimmers have a tendency to kind of crease on me a little bit because they are very thick and creamy. Like, I mean, just look at them. Like, I don't know. Can you tell on camera? Can you tell how creamy they are? You know what? Maybe I'll swatch one. Let me swatch this one. This one's gorgeous. It's called Daiquiri. And they're just so creamy and delicious. They're almost like Super Shock shadows. like if you push on them, it kind of makes an indent, you know? They're not quite Super Shock shadows, but it's kind of a similar sort of a thing. I also, at the time, so this was my first time trying Beauty Bay. I bought those palettes because I thought they were going to be great for trying the brand. And then I also bought this duo. So essentially these two are the same palette. So this is the Bright palette. And this is their older shimmer formula, so it's not the super creamy formula. It's more of like a satiny, subtle formula. They also released an all matte version of this palette, which people seem to like a lot more. I use this one a lot with my multi-chromes. If you saw my video where I talked about how to use multi-chromes, I definitely used this one in that video. I really, really like this palette. It's really good. The matte formula is really, really nice. I was gonna show you how these are like the same, but how am I gonna fit this? If we're just looking at the bottom row, these three are shimmers. They were traded out for mattes in this palette. So it's essentially the same palette with just a few things traded out for matte shadows that are the same exact color as the shimmers were, just, you know, made into matte shadows. I also got this one. I ordered this one all on its own because it was $10. I was like, yeah, I'll pay $5 shipping for a $10 palette. I don't care. This is the absolutely gorgeous collab palette with Nikki Tutorials. When I first got this, it was like really sticky. I don't know what the deal is with the packaging on this, but it felt so sticky when I first got it. It's a lot better now. I can still feel where that tack was, the different parts where it was, but it was wicked sticky. I was like, this is kind of gross, but I don't know, maybe that's why it's on sale. I actually looked at this yesterday. It's currently like $5. So if you're interested in this color story, it's $5 right now, and I think shipping to the US is also $5, so you can get it for 10. I got it for 15 with shipping. So it is a really beautiful palette. I haven't played with it as much as I want to, but I gotta dip into it some more. Should we get into my Natasha Denona palettes now? I have quite a few of them. I started buying Natasha Denona in the spring of this year. I had heard so much about the brand and how amazing they are, and I decided that I wanted to give them a try. And so this was one of the first palettes that I bought. I got it in the Sephora spring sale. So I got it for, I guess, what was it, 15% off, because I was VIB at the time. So I got it for 15% off. And this is the retro palette. I do really love this one. I kind of find myself wanting when it comes to shimmers in this palette, but I do really like the color story. I've done some really nice looks with this one. It's like a kind of neutral berry palette, kind of subdued, but I think it's really beautiful. And then at the same time that I bought that, I think literally the night before, I purchased directly from Natasha Denona's website both the Love palette and the Sunrise palette, because they were being sold as a package deal. You basically got like $10 off of each of them when you bought them together in the package deal. This is the color story of the Love palette. It's kind of like a more dramatic kind of berry color story as opposed to the more subdued color story of the retro palette. But yeah, I think that's a really beautiful palette. I've used it a few times. I like to use it in conjunction with other palettes. I also really love this one. So this one's the Sunrise palette. I really like that it has like these oranges and yellows and golds, but then it has like these pinky, purpley, kind of red sort of shades. I hope that the true color of these things comes through on camera, because I'm looking at my camera. It looks like it's changing the colors a little bit. Like this is a lot more red in person. Can you see it on my finger? Yeah, it's like a red shade. I think my camera is freaking out a little bit when I try to show some of these shimmers in the pan. I'll show you these next two at the same time because I bought them at the same time. These are the only ones that I've actually paid full price for. Everything else I've gotten some kind of deal on. But I went to Sephora and they had both of them in stock. This is so reflective, oh my gosh. So I decided to just get, I was thinking I was just going to go and get this one when it was new. But they had this one in stock as well. So I said, you know what? I'm going to flip this so it fits. Let me just get both of them. They're both really beautiful, colorful, fun color stories. They probably will go nice together. Gotta say, I'm disappointed with the formula of this one. It doesn't show up on me that much. Like most of the shadows don't show up on me that much. These blue shadows, they look exactly the same on my eye. They just blend out to the exact same shade. And then in this one, there's another pastel called Breath. This one is like barely visible on me as well. I don't know if maybe I need a different base or something. You know what though? I tried these on a white base, like a liquid shadow, a white liquid shadow, and they were still barely visible. I was seeing more white than I was seeing the actual color. But there are some really beautiful shades in these palettes. I do really like Zendo a lot. I like Zendo better than Pastel. Is that going to focus at all? So this one's really nice. It kind of reminds me of the one in the Lost in Los Angeles palette that I swatched before. So the Lost in Los Angeles palette is that one. This is the one in the Natasha Denona palette. I think the Lost in Los Angeles is a bit brighter, a little bit more pinky, whereas this one's a little bit more red. But yeah, they're kind of similar shadows. And so I think overall the Lost in Los Angeles palette is a little bit better in terms of the way it shows up and everything, but I do like some of the shades in this palette. I like this sort of duochrome shade. You know, I think this one's pretty nice. Yeah, this one's nice. But yeah, when it comes to this guy here, the Zendo, let me put it front and center here. There's a beautiful like shifty shade here. I love this one. This is my favorite shade in the palette. I mean, it's definitely the most special shade, so of course it's my favorite, but I love this one. And it brings together both these like green shadows on this side of the palette with the warm kind of pink and brown and red and gold sort of shades on that side of the palette. So this is a really nice palette. I don't really know how much I care about like some of these other shimmers because I have similar things in other palettes. But this one's really nice. I do like the color story of this one. I have a lot of fun with this one. And then finally, from Natasha Denona, this one is the one that I got most recently. Well, when I say finally, I mean there's definitely more coming, but this is the last one in the midi size, which is the mid size. There's also the bigger palettes and then the mini palettes. We'll get to those in just a second, but this is my last midi palette. I did my first video ever on YouTube about this palette. I definitely love this one. It has a gorgeous multi-chrome. Really, really nice. I love this palette a lot. I definitely need to play with it some more. It definitely, you know, it inspires me. I've done several looks with this now. I don't know, is this the most used one in my collection from her? No, I don't think it is. But it's definitely one that I've used a lot. And I just want to show you, I mean, other than the new one, I mostly have this set up in such a way that it's like a progression of, well, I guess the last two don't really work, but it's like in color order. Oh wait, I have these switched. Hold on a second. Okay, now it's in color order. That's kind of how I store them. And I also kind of base it on color story, because when these two are open, they kind of go together. This one is, I gotta figure out where that one goes in relation to the others. Before I get into the bigger palettes though from Natasha Denona, let me just quickly show you. I also bought both of these. These are the minis that are kind of based on, I guess they're based on the Love palette. Although I think personally this one looks more like it's based off of Retro than Love. It does have one of the shades from Love in it, but Makes me think more of retro. But yeah, I think these palettes are great complements to both the retro and the Love palette. I guess let me pop those open really quick and you can see. So there's the Love. How am I going to fit this? Here's the retro. And you see how I feel like this goes better with this palette, you know? And then the Love kind of goes better with the, you know, the big version of the Love. But yeah, I really like these little mini palettes as complements to the other palettes in the collection. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the big palettes from Natasha Denona. So the first ones that I got, my husband actually, well, he was gonna buy them for me for my birthday. They were on sale as a bundle, so they were basically like, you know, like 85 bucks each, whereas normally they're 130 each. So he was going to buy them for me for my birthday, but I didn't want him to spend all that money, you know, on my birthday present. I didn't feel right about that. So I told him I would pay for one and he could pay for the other. And here they are. They're absolutely beautiful. I honestly really love both of these. I think I might prefer this one. It turns out, like I thought I was going to love this one so much. And I do love it so much, but I don't know, I think I might enjoy this one more. I did a whole video about this one. Actually, technically, I featured this one in a video, my little clown makeup video, but I also did a video kind of trying to argue that this one here is a Halloween palette. And I mean, look at it. It does kind of look like a Halloween palette, right? I don't know. I'm going to stand by that. I believe that it's realistically a Halloween palette. But I really love these palettes. The, you know, soft pastel-y shadows in this one work a lot better than the ones in the actual pastel palette. And then this one, these bright colors work so nicely on the eyes. I really do love this palette. You might be questioning why someone would spend so much money on a palette. Honestly, that's why I generally don't buy Natasha Denona palettes at full price. I wait for sales, but the quality of these palettes is amazing. Like the shadows basically blend themselves. They're so freaking nice. I like that this one also, I don't know if you could tell in the camera, but it like changes color. The packaging changes color, which goes with the theme of like the multi-chromes. You know what? It just occurred to me as I was talking about buying them at a discount. Technically, the My Dream palette I did buy at full price, but I had a gift card from my birthday. So I personally did not spend the full amount on it. So in my mind, that's not spending the full amount. And then the other big size that I have, the last Natasha Denona palette that I'm going to show you, last one that I have actually, is the Sunset palette. This palette was on sale, I don't even know, it might still be on sale, for half off on Sephora's website, and let me tell you, I was not going to pass out the opportunity to get a giant Natasha Denona palette for $65. Like, that's amazing. And even though I initially wasn't like, oh, this is such an exciting color story, I have to admit, I really, really am glad that I have this palette. The quality is so amazing. And like, yeah, it's a mostly neutral palette, but you can make it colorful and fun. There are some really interesting, really fun shadows in here. I think when I was talking about this video, talking about this palette in a video recently, I tried to show you guys that there was this shade, but I was looking at the wrong shadow. This one's like orange and red and gold. It's like really, really beautiful. But when I was trying to look at it, trying to swatch it in the video where I was talking about this palette, I was swatching the shadow up top. I don't know what is wrong with me. This one's more of just like an orangey copper. And it doesn't have the red in it like I was trying to say that it did. But anyway, yes, Beautiful, beautiful palette. Definitely glad that I have it. I can't talk right now. I feel like my mouth is dry or something. But yeah, so those are my Natasha Denona palettes. Finally, we're gonna get into the last brand that we're gonna be talking about today, and that is Huda Beauty. Gosh, this ring light is killing me. So bright. Don't look at that. So this was the first one that I bought. It was on sale for half off on Sephora's website earlier this year. It is, I think, no longer available from Sephora. I don't even know if you can still get this from Huda, actually. I haven't really looked, but they don't carry this at Sephora anymore. I got this one because I wanted to try the Huda formula. Let me just move that up there. Because I kept hearing about this one, the Rose Quartz palette. So many people were saying that this was such an amazing palette. And when I first saw it online, I was like, oh, that's just like a neutral palette with like some pinky colors, you know? It's basic. But the more I heard about it and the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I want to try that. People rave about it. And I saw the looks that people were doing and I thought they were gorgeous. So I was like, okay, you know what? That's a 65 or whatever, 60, what are they, 67? Are these 67? I think they're $67 palettes. Let me wait for a sale, you know? And actually, going back to the Sephora sale earlier this year, the spring sale, my original plan was to get this one in that sale. But then Huda ended up having their own sale that was like even better. I think it was like 20 or 25% off, which at the time I was only VIB, so I was only getting 15% from Sephora. So I ended up getting this one then. But first, back to this bad boy. I got this beautiful palette. This is the Mercury Retrograde. And I just, you know, I wanted to try the formula. I thought that this was a beautiful color story, so I got it. I tried it. I honestly love it. I distinctly remember I did 3 looks. One was like all pink, one was all blue, and then one was like a purple look. And I loved all of them. I loved this palette. I loved the formula. But I kind of like moved on after I did those 3 looks, and I haven't gone back, which is weird because I've gone back to Rose Quartz. I've even gone back to one of the other ones we're going to talk about a few times. But I don't know, I haven't gone back to this one, and I want to. It's not that I don't want to. I don't know, haven't. And then the next one, though, that I bought from Huda was not this one. I ended up actually getting, was actually this one. This is the Rose Gold Remastered palette. And the reason I ended up getting this one was because it was on sale for $40 as opposed to 65. Which these ones in the cardboard packaging go for 65 from Huda. So yeah, I saw it on the website, on Huda's website, and it was $40. It wasn't $40 from Sephora. I don't know why, but it was $40 from Huda. So I ended up buying it right from Huda. And I do love this one. I've used it like twice, but I'm definitely going to use it in the winter. This is definitely, for me, I don't know, I think that this looks like a beautiful winter color story. I'm definitely going to be dipping into it in the winter. Like, I'm going to make a point of that. I really want to do a look with this red and this green together. It doesn't look that green on my finger right now, but I don't know. I want to do a fun, like, Christmassy look with that palette. Like, using those colors. It's a really, really nice palette. Then finally, I got around to buying the Rose Quartz palette. And like I said, Huda was having a special sale, and their palettes were, I think it was 25% off, or maybe it was just 20, I don't even remember. But I bought both of these palettes. The reason I went for both is because, I mean, this color story, it's like this deep, warm, scrumptious neutral palette, and honestly using these Huda palettes was kind of like the gateway for me to get into neutrals. I really enjoy this palette. I've used it a few times. I have a little bit of an issue with this shade here because it's not, it doesn't look like it's going to be flaky when you swatch it or like when you have it on your finger, but on my lid it makes my lid look so textured, so I was super bummed about that. But there are other really gorgeous shades in this palette that I absolutely love. But like if you see this one, like that's gorgeous, right? Just wait, let's have a quick look at this one. This was like the main event. This was what made me want to start buying Huda palettes. This one right here. Are you kidding me? These shadows are absolutely incredible. I love this palette. And I love all the beautiful pinks. I honestly, like, I love this palette so much and I always go back to it. It's definitely one of those palettes that I always, you know, I remember that I have it and I'm like, damn, I might have to use that one when I'm trying to think of things that I want to do, looks that I want to do. This one's a little hard pressed, but like this is such a great palette and I do love it so much. Okay, you guys, that's the video. I hope that you enjoyed. So this is part 1 of 2, don't forget. I will be posting part 2. That'll probably be the next video that I upload, but we'll see. We'll see how things pan out. Hopefully you like my insane look. No face makeup and really dramatic eye makeup. Whatever, it is what it is. But yeah, I will be seeing you in the next one. Peace out.